All right. We've heard you talk about the outer self, the inner self, and the spiritual self. Is there any way you could describe to us how we could bring those together and use them all to better our lives and just moving forward with a better outlook on life and accomplishing things? How would you describe those three things coming together and using them?
Oh, that's a very good question, and I'll tell you the truth is I thought about that, and I think about it a lot because I realize personally how important it is to make the spiritual connection. So let's just say that I would use this method to explain what we mean by the physical self, the physical life, and the spiritual life. I'm going to use some terms such as the horizontal and the vertical. I think this will be a helpful framework for showing how that relationship or that connection takes place. Let's just say that on the horizontal, let's call it the horizontal level, we live our lives. We are constantly making decisions or not making decisions, going here and there, present, future, and just busy with life. So we could really say that our outer living, where we grow up, we go to school, we pursue our education, our careers, and develop to some degree of maturity, become, man or woman, growing up. But all of these things on the horizontal level is growing up in the outer. What we want to do is connect with the spiritual. So we would call that the vertical. And we would call it vertical because the vertical intersects the horizontal and penetrates it in all areas. And if we learn to attune ourselves to the vertical, then we will find that life takes on a different meaning. We are able to, over and beyond our limited physical self, when we attune to that vertical, to that spiritual self, it will inform us. We will get answers from the vertical to help us live in our everyday horizontal life. It will inspire us. It will show us compassion. It will make life work. And from this, once connecting the physical with the spiritual, or shall we say the horizontal and the vertical meeting, then we can say that we reach a point where life has meaning, life has purpose, life has truth. And to just kind of summarize it, let's just say that this spiritual connection that we're talking about, some call it God, making a connection with, some call it the Holy Spirit, some call it the ground of being. Whatever you call it, it's what Jesus referred to when he said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Or that I have come to, that you may have life and have it abundantly. It's understanding that connection with that vertical. It's making the spiritual connection. And broadly, let's just say, the Sufis would call it, finding that truth. The Buddhists would say it's the awakening, or the Christians would call it, maybe having that experience. Or just in general, we would just call it making the spiritual connection. And it's by way of the vertical outer life with living it, if we learn to attune to the vertical, that spiritual part of it. It's there. Whether we know it or not, it's there. All we have to do is just learn to attune to it.